So all we're doing at this point is leading up to be able to get an interview. But if you don't get an interview, you don't get a position. You have to go through these steps to get the interview. Let's look at preparing for the interview. Everything that we have presented up to this point is leading up to the final stage of getting a traditional job. Most hiring decisions, as I've mentioned before, are made in the first 3 to 5 minutes of an interview. Consequently, we know that the interviewer is responding more to personal qualities than the resume qualifications. Now we have to get the interview. Simply stated, a person who does not interview well is not going to receive a job offer. He may have an exceptional resume, exceptional credentials and qualifications, but if you don't present well on the interview, you're not going to get a job offer. If you can't present yourself with confidence, project that professional image in the interview, all your preparation and hard work will have been in vain. So you've got to get up and practice your interviewing skills. Recognize that in the process of a job search, you're marketing yourself. As we've said, if you're uncomfortable with selling, you must prepare yourself for this process. You are selling. You are the product. You have to present yourself with knowledge about, belief in, and enthusiasm about the product. Just as if you were selling cars, yachts, or vacuum cleaners, you have to believe in the product, and in this case, that product is you. Now let's look at the interview itself. Contrary to popular belief, the interview is not designed to be an inquisition or an interrogation. The word interview itself is derived from a Latin word that means to see about each other. It's important to keep that in mind when interviewing. To see about each other implies that an interview is a mutual exchange of information. This exchange process not only provides the employer with the opportunity to assess your skills and qualifications, but it also provides you with the opportunity to evaluate that company or organization. Don't view the interview as a one-sided process. If you're completing a well-planned job search strategy, you'll have several interviews, which should lead to 2 or 3 job offers. The interview should be an information gathering process for you as well as for the interviewer. The key to successful interviewing is preparation, knowing what to expect, and practice. Yes, practice is a reasonable ingredient. Most of us don't interview often enough to become very proficient at it. Recognizing that interviewing skills translate into satisfaction and income, you would be well advised to practice, just as you would at improving your golf or tennis game. Preparation is the single most important factor in successful interviews. Your preparation should involve 2 primary components. We've touched on them already a couple of times. Number 1 is knowing yourself. Number 2 then is obtaining information about the company or organization. Let's look specifically at this process again of knowing yourself and how we bring it right into the interview situation. This process of self-assessment is critical to presenting yourself well and securing a position which will be meaningful and fulfilling. You have to be intimately familiar with your skills, your abilities, your personal tendencies, your values, dreams, and passions. Only by having a clear understanding of these areas will you be prepared to search that targeted, focused direction. To obtain a job is your goal. However, be sure that what is required in the position and the environment connected with that are a good fit for you, your abilities, and your interest. Be prepared in this regard to answer the following questions in an interview. Number 1 is likely to be, tell me a little bit about yourself. This is nearly a standard question in every interview. In some ways, though, it may be the most important question in your interview, and you have to be prepared well in advance. The interviewer will expect you to have developed an answer for this question. If you have not, you're going to seem ill-prepared, and the interview will be off to a poor start. This is an opportunity to sell yourself. Tell the interviewer what you want him or her to remember about you. You can refer to information you may want to bring up later in the interview. An interviewer can quickly determine if you're knowledgeable and prepared, or if you're just another wandering generality hoping to land any job. Keep this point clearly in mind. Any answer to a question you're asked should be no more than 2 minutes in length. If you go beyond 2 minutes, you're likely to give the interviewer the impression that you're trying to take over. Be very, very aware that what you're doing in an interview is selling yourself to that person who has the authority to make a decision about you. It's not to overwhelm them with how great you are, but it's to impress that person and make that person want to have you on their team. So in a 2-minute answer on tell me a little bit about yourself, here's what you should have. Spend 15 seconds on your personal background, maybe a minute on your career highlights, a few seconds on your strongest personal achievement. Then conclude by explaining what you can offer to this company. And ask yourself in advance, what can I contribute to this company? Let that guide your response. Regardless of the content of the answer, you should outline the answer to this question on paper. Practice it many times until you can repeat it concisely. You might ask a friend or your spouse to listen to it and critique it for you, but make sure that you've got a 2-minute response to tell me a little bit about yourself. You must convey those things that are very, very important and do it very clearly and concisely. Some other examples of questions that you might be asking in an interview. What are 3 of your strengths? Or describe 3 personal characteristics that would make you a good candidate for this position. If you can't clearly identify and describe your strengths, how do you expect an interviewer to pull them out in the brief encounter of an interview? Here's another. Tell me about a weakness and what you've done to work on it. Now keep in mind, good interviewers are going to ask open-ended questions, not things that can be answered with a brief yes or no. Open-ended questions really cause you to think, and you're better off to have thought about them in advance than having to think on your feet in that one encounter. What skills do you possess that have prepared you for this job? Obviously, again, you're going to need to have researched the company and the job, or you'll be unprepared for this question.